want me to put that on my Tudor?
Harry's wife. She's on the Scrounge. As you know, as a narcissist, Harry's wife has no sense of shame, no embarrassment, no conscience. She does what she wants, and her narcissism always enables her to believe that what she does is justified and appropriate. Any instance where she says sorry is just false contrition and is simply a further manipulation designed, of course, to cater to the prime aims. I've explained to you in immediate parts passive the role of money and the narcissist, and how with Harry's wife the issue of money and what it affords her is particularly important to her, again because of the prime aims. And this has been borne out with the consequence of an article in the New Zealand Herald by Daniela Elsa that tells us Harry's wife scrounging for luxury cars and private jets. She believes that she's entitled to these things. She believes that she's entitled to a billionaire lifestyle, even though she is not a billionaire and nor is her husband. She believes that she should have the taste of the high life, not just a taste, but be gorging on it on a daily basis. She sees nothing wrong in behaving this way because her narcissism causes her to approve it. Furthermore, she senses no embarrassment in being on the scrounge for these luxury items, whereas other people would not lure themselves to behave that way. She, of course, would, because she sees no problem at all in prostituting herself, in whatever form that might take, in order to make those gains that relate to the prime aims. Elsa writes, hasn't the West Coast suffered enough? In recent months, the granola-munching, Birkenstock bulk-buying citizens of Los Angeles, and beyond, have had to contend with catastrophic rain, mudslides, and, of course, the constant threat of wildfires. And now, seems like they're about to attract more second-string royal players looking to start over. Earlier this month, the Daily Mail reported that not only are Princess Eugenie and husband Jack Brooksbank possibly eyeing up properties in Los Angeles, but that her father, disgraced Duke and perpetual pariah Prince Andrew, has been keeping an eye on Harry and Harry's wife, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's careers, and everything they have been doing in America, with a view to what he does with the rest of his life. See parts passive for my observations about that. On paper, the Sussexes should seem to be absolutely smashing it, smugly smirking all the way to the bank after signing a bevy of deals stuffed with zeros, and which total more than $200 million. Huzzah! More kabancha for everyone. But is everything quite so spiffy and shiny in Sussex land? For one thing, are they quite so flush as they would appear? A veteran biographer has now popped up to claim that Harry's wife is currently being forced to scrounge for the sort of luxuries beloved by the 0.01%. The revelation came when Tom Bower, author of the pretty devastating book Revenge, Harry's Wife, Harry and the War Between the Windsors, appeared on conservative UK television network GB News to talk about the Duke and Duchess with vociferous Sussex critic Dan Wootton. All of this, of course, amounting to challenge fuel and a threat to control. Wootton outed Harry and Harry's wife's plans to quit the United Kingdom in January 2020, thus triggering Megxit. Bower said of Harry's wife is money obsessed, residual benefit, and always has been, residual benefit, and that is why she married Prince Harry. Well, it was slightly wider than that, but he's right, money played a huge part in that. She'd imagined he'd be worth hundreds of millions, if not billions, and she's having to make up for it now. Again, of course, she would think that way because of her delusion and low cognitive function herself. She wants to ride in the big Cadillacs, the private jets on command, and at the moment she needs to scrounge for those sort of things. In Revenge, he wrote that it was only after their 2018 marriage that Harry's wife began to understand that the British monarchy was neither flush with money nor an invincible luxury Rolls-Royce machine. Now, for most of us, the idea of a Jetstar flight to Bali sounds like heaven. However, if the former Suits actress fancies getting her own NetJets account, it's like Uber for the private jet set, then she and Harry are going to have to work out a way to rake in much, much more cash. Take their reported US $100 million Netflix deal Not bad for a man who never had to sit for a job interview in his life, and a woman who used to, according to the book Finding Freedom, occasionally set up a paparazzi photo. She still does, of course. But that figure could also include the cost of their production staff and production costs. Plus, it's highly unlikely that they got the full whack of cash up front, and it's likely to be meted out after each project. We're not talking about pop out and buy a Gulfstream cash. Sussex wedding guest George and Amal Clooney are reported to own their own private jet, which can cost up to $60 million brand new. That, of course, is something that Harry's wife believes she's entitled to, and will be eyeing the Clooneys, thinking, well, we should be like them. Ginger bollocks. Why are we not having as much money as them? We should have our own private jet. That was reportedly the advance at $30 million from Penguin Random House for the 4 books, of which the world has only been blessed with one, Frozen Todger and all. How much H, Lord of the Word document and spell check, actually pocketed is not known. And what of Spotify? Does anyone think the streamer might have paid out the full $33 million their contract is said to be worth just for Harry's wife's lacklustre arsey wipes? It might have debuted with much fanfare, but later episodes failed to set the podcasting charts on fire. See parts passing. The issue is not only how much they are raking, but how tiddly that sum is in contrast with what their new best friends are all raking in. And that's the big problem for Harry's wife, that her narcissism has drawn her to want to be amongst the big hitters. But of course that then means that there are people earning far more than she is, commanding greater sums and flexing with greater financial firepower, all of which threatens her sense of control and causes her to be envious. Her narcissism will ignite that envy to cause her to want to get to comparable sums. Remember, the narcissist is never content. The narcissist doesn't experience happiness. The narcissist doesn't think, this is enough now, I'm doing rather well and I've got a fantastic life. Instead, more, always more, because there's always someone bigger and better. And therefore, that means that there's a potential threat to control if one is trying to move in those circles, which of course Harry's wife is, because she believes that she belongs there. And of course there is the character trait acquisition associated with it. In their neighbourhood is Oprah Winfrey, worth $3.9 billion. Ellen DeGeneres and wife Portia de Rossi, $609 million. And Orlando Bloom and Katy Perry, who are reportedly worth $592 million. Perry earned about $59 million in 2022 alone. Last month, the royal pair attended DeGeneres and De Rossi's vow renewal, overseen by the first woman to turn a sex tape into a multi-billion-dollar empire, Kris Jenner. Her net worth is reportedly just shy of about $327 million. Meanwhile, fellow attendee Gwyneth Paltrow's lifestyle Uber brand, Goop, has been valued at $392 million plus. And if you'd like a delicious roasting of Gwyneth Paltrow, just look for that amongst my HG roast playlist. I'll also, in a forthcoming video, be explaining how Harry's wife is still sniffing around with the idea of bringing out some kind of wanky lifestyle brand, trying to copy Gwyneth Paltrow, trying to copy Reese Witherspoon, etc. More about that on another occasion. Harry and Harry's wife, even if they had been paid every dollar that every deal is worth, are still the poorest people around the table next time this A-plus list gets together for Saturday night parcheesi and cases of wine. Making this situation even trickier is the fact that the release of Harry and Harry's wife's Netflix series and his memoir, Wah, have had catastrophic consequences for their approval ratings. See parts passing, threat to control. It then mentions about the difficulties that they have with regard to the polling. And, to put it in context, Americans have a more favourable view of Queen Camilla than Harry's wife. The couple's current strategy of monetising their never-ending disgruntlement is cratering and fast. If the couple not only want to maintain their current level of income, but even vaguely get close to the sort of dosh their new pals have, something drastic will need to be done to revamp and remake their image and careers. Whoever would have thought that a steady diet of high-sheen whinging might put people off? Elsa writes, I struggle to see how a single venture capitalist, Hollywood dealmaker, or Silicon Valley supremo would be willing to get into bed business-wise with two public figures who are disliked by a swathe of Americans. If the Duchess is the savvy sort, she would understand that right about now a sharp change of direction is what is needed. 3 years after Megxit, after 6 hours of grousing and griping and more than 400 pages of Harry throwing his family under the bus, it's time for a rebrand, and pronto. Since 2020, the world has watched rapt as Harry and Harry's wife have styled their 20-month stint as a working royal couple into a Homeric clash between their right-on thinking and a stony-hearted family that permanently refused to appoint a royal shaman. Actually, King Charles, with his lifelong interest in mysticism, might go for that one. It's hard to believe that the pocket-square-living monarch once went on a 4-day-long spiritual quest in the Kalahari with his guru, Lawrence van der Post. Like a once-hit TV series that has gone on a season too long, the writers milking the same tired material, it's beyond due for the Sussexes to find a new angle. There's reference, of course, to her potential new @Harry'sWife Instagram account, and, of course, resuscitating Tig, and, of course, there's the reports about her lunching with Gordon Getty. But the fact is, she's on the Scrounge. She's putting herself about in order to try and drum up the money. And, of course, this is a major threat for Harry, because if he doesn't deliver in respect of this, he may well have outlived his use and find it hastening his disengagement. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.